All right, so today's entry is a bit of a rant, and it's really around an email that I get pretty often, especially when we do things that start getting a little bit of public attention. I often get an email from a VC that essentially says, "Hey, I'm from such and such VC firm. I'd really like to hop on the phone and learn a little bit more about your business." And these emails really get me. First off, it's great that they say something complimentary about the business, but they literally offer nothing in exchange for hopping on the phone, and often, as I found the hard way, having to educate them on the industry, educate them on the business model. Then they start asking questions where they're, critiquing our business model, asking who our big customers are. And in these situations, when I've taken these calls, and I've only taken them a couple times and not in this business, not at Nomics, they're essentially just trying to pump you for information about your business, because they want to make sure that they don't miss out on the opportunity to invest in a great company. And almost never on these calls. And again, I take it into consideration that I've only done a couple of these. Do they provide any value in exchange, right? Like, they just want to hear you. And I think this works potentially on some entrepreneurs. I mean, it must work on some level, which is why they do it. But often it's, on the other end of those phone calls is just an analyst who's filling out a spreadsheet about companies in your space. And that's probably the most benign version. The most malicious version is that there's a VC that is considering investing in a company that's competitive with yours, and they're trying to get as much information as they can about competitive companies before making the investment that they really want to make, which is in, your business enemy or whatever, at least a competitor. And so now, after they've invested in that competitor, they can tell the competitor all the information that they have about you. I can't tell you the number of times that someone has sent to me a pitch deck from a competitive business that contains, details about a business that's competing with mine. And that is not cool, in my opinion, that people are just sharing pitch decks left and right in that fashion. So I guess my advice here to VCs, if you're listening to this, to VCs or analysts, that are doing these calls, my advice is really get to know the business and offer some kind of exchange of value. Don't just say, "Hey, I'd love to learn more." Like, why should I tell you more about the business? So offer and consider why an entrepreneur who doesn't have much time at all, like, why should they spend an hour with you telling you about, educating you on the space and give you the inside track? Like, can you offer something in exchange? To entrepreneurs, I guess I have a few pieces of advice. The first is, in general, like, don't do these calls with analysts or associates. Just never do these calls with analysts or associates. Only do these with partners. And, when I've asked for that in the past, someone will write in like, "Hey, we really love what you're doing. We'd love to learn more." Okay. I've asked to speak with a partner on the phone call. It's like, okay, I'll do it with a partner. And 9 times out of 10, I'm not kidding you, when this has happened, the partner shows up. They don't have much background on the business. They're there to help out the analyst because they know the analyst will only, the analyst or the associate at the firm was told that they will only take the call if a partner's on the line. So they show up, they're often late. Maybe they're in a car driving, and they just don't even want to be there. So, I guess maybe to elaborate on this a little bit more, I wouldn't even do the call unless a partner's interested. I have done this. I have done these kinds of calls a few times. So I've done them a couple times with associates, never had a good experience. I have done them with partners before that had great reputations in the space, and I have learned a lot. There was a guy, Trevor at Bessemer, that I did a call with a long time ago, and we didn't end up working together, but I got a ton of value out of that interaction. And I've had similar interactions with partners at firms when I was fundraising for Nomics, but they were people with just stellar reputations, and it wasn't just some person who I didn't know reaching out cold because they, in quotes, wanted to learn more about our business. Anyway, that's my journal entry for today. If you're an entrepreneur, be very selective about getting on these calls. They can eat up a ton of your time. If you're a VC or an associate, figure out in advance the value that you're going to provide in exchange. All right, take care. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening. If you liked this content, please help me out by leaving a review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to podcasts. It provides me with encouragement and it helps other people find the program. Also, if you have a question that you'd like me to answer on the podcast, go to asknomics.com, leave me a question, and I'll do my best to answer it in the next few days. Thanks for listening, and see you tomorrow.